Greetings, everybody. Dave DeWalt here, founder and CEO of NightDragon, coming to you live from San Francisco here at the RSA Cybersecurity Conference. Wonderful to be here with about 40,000 of our friends here in the city at the Moscone Center. Wonderful to come together every year and the whole community, and it's just a great feeling to be a part of that and see friends and family and all our partners and portfolio companies unite together in a common mission. And I have one of my great friends here, Robert Herjavec, who I think you all know from Shark Tank fame, but also many decades of cybersecurity experience. Thank you for coming on and being a part of this. And we had a lot of fun today as well.
A lot of fun.
So good time. But we have a special guest as well that's very exciting as part of our NightVision series. We've got Paul Zolfaghari, who is the president of Saviynt, which is very cool. Before I let Robert ask a question, just tell everybody what Saviynt does for a second, just simple first, and we'll get into AI and some other things.
For sure. Yeah, just the high-level mission of the company is to manage really the governance, access, and permissions of all of the identities, both in and around a company. And those identities could be humans, they could be employees, they could be service accounts, they could also be machines, and now evolving to today also AI and AI identities. So our core mission is managing the access, whether it be human or non-human, to the right systems at the right time with the right level of permission and governance.
And at this cross-section of cyber and AI, what is the definition of an identity to you guys today?
Yeah, so it's a great question, Robert. In fact, it's evolved so much. So 10 years ago, it was very easy. An identity was your human headquarters worker. That's what an identity was, because that's the only person that had access to systems. Over time, that's evolved now to include shop floor robots accessing systems. So that's an identity. But now the newest form of type of identity is agentic AI or AI identity.
I think many people watching can get their head around a machine identity from a human. But the idea of agentic identities, I think, is still very new to a lot of people. And what did you say that Jensen said the average employee is going to have thousands?
Yeah, 2,000 agents for every human is roughly his estimate. So the scale problem now gets very interesting as well with agentic identities. So,
and what an opportunity for access.
Huge for us. And it's a great point. So for us, we actually think we're entering kind of the golden age of identity security, because in the past, just mathematically, maybe a large company might have 50,000 employees. So the problem was maybe the 50,000 employees, maybe some number of humans surrounding the supply chain. But now when you start talking about, as Jensen said, like take that, multiply by, now you're talking about millions and millions of identities. And it's not just the aggregate number, it's the fact that AI identities by definition are constantly evolving and changing. So it's a much more complicated problem because people, you're in a job and maybe you move through that job, but it's pretty known and predictable when you go from being VP to SVP. But the agent itself is now evolving so quickly, their access is changing so quickly, the tools to control and manage that have to evolve exponentially.
You guys have had incredible growth over the last few years. What's on your plate for this year?
We're going to be releasing full lifecycle management for agentic AI agents, essentially bringing the capabilities we've developed over the last 10 years for humans, machine accounts, service accounts directly to agents as well. So allowing companies to basically treat their agents exactly the way they treat their employees and their non-human identities. So for us, we think this is the next big frontier. Honestly, we're a company that I will tell you the future, we've had a great run, but honestly, the future seems a lot brighter even than the past because the sheer volume of both the number and the quantity and the character of this identities is changing so rapidly.
A little over 700 million, one of the biggest single rounds in cyber in a long time, as far as I can remember, the biggest last year as well. What are you trying to accomplish with this very big block of capital now? I'm assuming it's a lot of go-to-market, but R&D as well, internationalization. Talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, it's a great question. So our understanding is it was the largest private capital raise last year in the cybersecurity industry. There's a few things that...
We have to raise our game here.
Yeah, maybe.
What are we doing?
Yeah. Well, there's a few things. One, for us, essentially, we have all the resources we could ever need to realize the long-term vision of the company. That was important. We also thought it was really important raising this amount of capital to make sure that our customers, our partners, our ecosystem, the people that depend on us know that we're going to be here and we're going to be here for the foreseeable future. What's important about that round, because it was led by KKR and Sixth Street, is it's a minority round. So there, it's a growth equity round, a minority round, but the common shareholders are still control of the company.
Impressive.
And so we're still, and they were extremely excited to get involved. In fact, I'll tell you something really interesting about Sixth Street and KKR that made the investments. Both were actually customers of Saviynt for years. So before they ever became investors, they had been using our software inside their companies to manage their own identity and access. So our goal with the money is to build out the operations, continue to invest in the product, extend the platform, expand internationally, and really try to realize the full totality of the mission.
So is there a public thing coming one day soon, or are you just going to wink at me on this?
So you're talking to somebody that was a Section 16 officer of a public company for over a decade. I would say the nice thing about the private markets, and you're both extremely experienced in this, the private markets are very efficient now. So as a private company, we have a lot of opportunity that, I wouldn't have told you we had 10 years ago. So I think the way we're thinking about this is we really have control of the company. We have all the resources we need, and we like to think that we can change. We're in control really of this, the direction and the velocity of the company.
I always used to say, I wish I took a company public, and every friend who I have who did says, no, you don't.
Yeah.
No, you don't.
It's fascinating, right? It improves the public profile, but as a private company, you can be really customer centric. Yeah. We have a lot more flexibility with how we can work with companies and build and evolve the business. So we're going to continue to take advantage of this for as long as we can, but it wouldn't surprise me if sometime in the not too distant future we were a public company.
Ladies and gentlemen, Saviynt, Paul Zolfaghari is one of the leaders in this industry, and agentic lifecycle management, I think, is one of the most important terms we may hear all week and maybe all year.
Big announcement.
As we watch this. Absolutely, Robert. Paul, thank you for joining. Robert, thank you for co-hosting. Ladies and gentlemen, Saviynt, thank you.
Thank you very much.